Hi, welcome with the Overlanding Ambulance. Stay tuned. Grab your favorite drink, whether it's a coffee, cocktail, or tea, and get ready. It's Ladies' Night on Lady Overlander Radio. The Lady Overlander Radio podcast is sponsored by CB Adventure Supply, Midland Radio, Go Treads, Overland Spices, The Moore Expo, Wildland Coffee, Adventure Trail Outfitters, Lifesaver Water Filters, Sea Sucker Camp, and Sport Keg. Hey Arla, hey girl, hey.
Hey girl, hey.
I'm broadcasting today from the lovely woods of Georgia.
Nice.
So, not Georgia over in Europe, Georgia in the United States, but still, it's pretty.
You never know about you.
Yeah, that's true. I never know where I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But we got some great events coming up soon. We have more Expo. We'll be doing a Ladies Overland Lounge all weekend there, which will be exciting. Then I believe our next one is Expo West, which we're going to be doing a ladies roundtable discussion there with a few other ladies. Brittany
Yes.
Highland from Hourless Life, Tara McGovern from Rover and Reverie. So that'll be pretty awesome. And then what else do we got going on this year? We got a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Flash
So
up
we
that
gotta-
fancy schedule.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's show that. That'll tell us. So these are the events we have coming up in the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, we got bonfire in there.
Bonfire Rendezvous, Overland Expo West, Pacific Northwest, and the Teton Overland Show down in September. So make sure you catch up with us at one of those events. We'd love to chat with you in person, anybody that's watching. And, we're looking forward to a busy but fun summer. So today we have the Overlanding Ambulance on, and they are currently in the UK. They've been traveling all over Europe. Their ambulance, which I'll show you here.
Very cool.
Yes, and that's a Land Rover, correct?
Yep.
Yes,
it is.
indeed.
Awesome. And so tell us a little bit about, tell us your names, tell us a little bit about your background, how you guys started out in this journey, and just anything you'd like to share.
My name's Lawrence, and my wife is Rachel, and we're both veterinary surgeons from the UK. We met whilst travelling in New Zealand, though we're both from the UK, and we moved back to the UK because we both wanted to travel the world and decided to overland. We didn't know what we were going to overland in, and it was during our hunt that on eBay we found our vehicle that was for sale. And
Oh, wow.
that was back in 2018 when we first bought it, and then started this sort of increasingly madcap scheme to visit as many places as possible. We decided to leave in 2020, just like a lot of people did, and then the world pandemic cut that one short. So just as we were about to leave, we were then put on hiatus. Life went on hold like everybody else's, and we just were waiting for borders to reopen. And then eventually, end of 2021, we set off. And the plan had been to drive around the world in one complete circuit, heading east, eventually getting to America. But when we left in February, obviously that's when the war in Ukraine started, and then that made our journey east much more complicated. So we, in true overlanding style, have been very much changing things continuously on a week by monthly basis. And at the moment, it wasn't the plan, but we're back in the UK because we've finished our first leg, which was around Europe, going as far as Georgia and Armenia, and now we're back in the UK making plans for where to go next.
Very cool. And you guys initially started out with this to try to break a world record, correct?
That's the plan. That's what we're still trying to do. The longest journey by ambulance, with the Guinness World Record. That's the plan.
So what's the current record? Do you guys know?
We have to go more than 20,000 kilometers, which we've done. So we just need to submit the paperwork. Yeah. Hopefully that's the plan, but we've hopefully beaten it.
Very cool. That's amazing. I'd love to see the inside of your rig, but unfortunately, I don't know if we have the ability to do that right now. But just how you guys tell us how you...
say
we should have sat in it. Really,
we should have sat in it. Would have been more useful. Yeah,
that's okay. No, just tell us a little bit about how you built it.
Inside,
it's out there.
It's tiny. No, it's really tiny.
Is it?
Yes.
Do you basically just have a bed in there, or what do you have going on in there?
So there's a pop-top roof, and we sleep upstairs, and then downstairs there's a sink,
on one side,
a fridge, and a little seating area, and that's sort of it. It's really small.
Yeah, very cool.
It's luxurious downstairs toilet size, under your sink, under your staircase type thing.
Yeah,
it's small.
So how much water can you guys carry with you? Or do you guys carry external, like?
Yeah, we have a tank that sits underneath the car. It's about 60 litres.
Okay.
So bearing with that. And we carry 2 jerry cans, which are for what we use for fuel. So that's for, we don't have an extra storage fuel tank. That's about it, really.
Yeah, it's compact. Yeah.
And the fuel you use for cooking, do you run a generator, or do you use like propane?
So it's a diesel hob, so just the diesel fuel tank fuels
the
car and fuels the heater and fuels the cooking as well. One.
Very cool. Okay, so let me take a quick pop up a photo here. What is going on in this photo?
Goodness.
So that was in Turkey. So having bought a Land Rover, what's the old adage? Turning
owners into mechanics.
Mechanics. That was in Turkey. We'd had a series of leaks appearing
from the
transfer box, and we finally got to a mechanic called Hakan in Turkey near Cappadocia. And he's one of those guys that if you're driving through Turkey and you own a Land Rover, most people will make a detour too. And so we spent a week camped in his garage as they
with
us, brilliant, and showing us what to do and
taking the car apart,
and putting it back together.
Just trying to figure out where that was coming from.
Yeah. And he did.
So how long?
He did.
So.
How long did it take to repair it? Was it just a quick repair?
We were there for a week, weren't we? But that was not just doing the transfer box. While we were there, we did some other servicing things that we needed to do. So I think in total we were there a week.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. And so,
go ahead. I was going to say we rocked up without an appointment, which is the way of things out that way. And they said, come back the following day, we'll order the parts in. And then, they put us up, fed us, and looked after us. It was quite an experience.
Yeah.
So you guys have been to, 20 countries so far, I think? Or is it 12?
No, we were
26 countries at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Okay. 26 countries so far. And we say wow, but it's kind of probably similar to states
small.
here.
So
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we've been around Europe, which is
states, but
a number of states. Yeah.
So is it pretty easy to get from country to country, or is there a ton of paperwork you have to do and a ton of planning?
No. I mean, we've not needed a visa for any of the countries we've been to. No, we've turned up at the border. Probably the biggest challenge is with the dog. So we've got paperwork for taking the dog out of Europe and back into Europe again. But actually, we've not had any issues at the borders driving an ambulance with a dog. We've just turned up at the borders and crossed over. Sometimes it's taken hours just because it's a long process. But no, it's not been logistically that bad, really, has it? No.
That's good. And so it's pretty convenient that you guys are veterinary surgeons and in
Yes.
case anything happens to the dog, right?
Yes.
Yes.
No, it has been, because we've done a couple of the dog's had a couple of accidents on the way. So no, it's been very, very handy, definitely.
So are you guys on a sabbatical or just kind of retired?
Yes,
or
we both quit our jobs for the year. Well, for as long as it is. We're back in the UK doing some work to fill the travel pot at the moment. But yeah, we quit our jobs to go traveling.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
But not
exciting.
retired,
It's probably a little
unfortunately.
scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to work out a way of trying to make it more of a sustainable, long-term prospect, as in, you know,
Then we
the
can
travel.
Mm-hmm.
And this year has very been much, we worked a lot to take time off, and now we're sort of, you know, back to work a bit to do the same thing again. But no, we're trying to work out a way that we can potentially keep this sort of project going longer term, without resorting to the you know, the YouTube and that, you know,
We're not very good at that.
No, we're not very good at that. So we're sort of looking at more of how we can use our job whilst traveling as a way of, you know, keep this going, even if it's like periods of time in one place but somewhere different, and then moving on and trying somewhere, rather than the sort of long continue. The initial plan was to do one long journey for a couple of years, but then that was it. And I think we'd rather sort of see it more of a fluid process that's sort of more of a lifelong adventure, that we can sort of change continent or whatever every set period of time and try something new, make us feel like we're always continuously traveling, rather than just this set end date when we have to go back to life again.
Yeah, I know here in the United States that we have traveling nurses, traveling veterinarians, and they're emergency veterinarians that, you know, will go and work where there's a really bad need. So I'm just wondering, you know, because I'm sure you're licensed in the UK, you know, your medical license and everything is there, how complicated it is to try to get that to transfer over to, let's say, the United States or South America or somewhere else.
And that's why the initial plan, the next leg had been to go from North America all the way down to South America.
Mhm.
That's the more complicated prospect for us to get. Well, without us, we can't work. Whereas there are other places, like, for example, Australasia, Oceania, we can fairly easily transfer our qualification to be able to work. So that's why we're potentially considering shifting the way we do, you know, rather than going to America first, maybe doing Australia first, which will allow us to work and travel at the same time before then moving on to the Americas afterwards.
Okay, so is it impossible to get everything situated for the Americas, or is it?
We'd have to sit a lot of exams. And it's a bit of a while since we left vet school. So both of us now just work with cats and dogs, but we'd have to sit the exams for horses, for cows, for sheep, and we haven't worked with them for years. No. So it would be, I think it would be a major challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely would, I would believe.
So look, there's a cow. That's about it as far as my knowledge goes on cows.
Yeah, we don't do that.
I'm the same way.
Is it true they have like 7 stomachs, or is that just a myth? Do you remember that from school?
3?
4.
4? Okay.
Yes.
I know they have more than I do, so I'm just curious.
Like, I used to work with cows, and now I'm like, how many do they have? So now it's
They have 4 stomachs?
Yeah. Wow. I don't know where I got 7 from, but wow. Yeah. 4 is still impressive.
Yes.
You know, like when we go out to eat and then we want to save room for dessert, we don't have another stomach.
There is a dessert side.
Yeah.
Sorted.
There's room for your drink. There's room for your food, your dessert. It's perfect.
Man.
So tell me the story behind this photo here. This is an interesting shot.
Very.
That's in Bosnia, isn't it?
That was in Bosnia.
Yeah, so we were driving between 2 areas in Bosnia, and I'd read about this road called the M6, and in the UK the M6 is like this big motorway. But I'd read about this really picturesque, beautiful road that we thought, oh, that sounds lovely. We'll go on that back road. And the back road turned out to be sort of an off-roading track, which was brilliant. And we loved that until we got to the point that the off-road track reached a bridge that was definitely not a bridge anymore.
Yeah.
And it just completely collapsed into the river below. So That was the end of our journey down the M6, really. We got to that point, thankfully noticed it rather than just ploughing onwards. But
Oh yeah.
yes, that was the end of the M6 adventure. We did look at trying to cross the river, but the other side, you just couldn't get down and back up again, even in Land Rover. So yes, back to the main road. We didn't go any further.
Wow. I wonder if they've repaired it. They didn't have any warning signs or
There was
anything up, huh?
nothing. No, we just.
Oh wow.
Thank God we weren't going at night, because I genuinely think we just kept going. No, there were no warning signs. There was nothing. We were just driving.
It's typical. You go up to get to that bridge. You sort of went up a steep slope to get to it. So if you were going at speed, not only would you launch yourself, but you would have not seen it, not seen it coming. So,
well, could you make it to the other side? I mean, kidding. The ambulance probably wouldn't be in one piece anymore.
All the, on the motorbike.
Oh no!
Evil Knievel style.
No, not Evil Knievel.
Yeah, have you guys heard of like Dukes of Hazzard?
Yes.
Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard style.
I don't rate the Land Rover for that.
No,
I don't recommend
It's
that.
not so fun.
Wow, it's a good thing you guys noticed that was out. That's insane,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of reasons why we don't travel at night.
Yeah.
When we overland, because we don't, it's reduced visibility. You don't know where you are. You don't really have a good feel of the surrounding area. So it's
driving is often quite dodgy.
No, we definitely.
And then you've got the other people driving. So
which is even scarier.
yeah.
Yeah. So what's one of the coolest off-road routes you've taken? Have you been on any other ones, or?
In
Georgia, I'd say that road.
And some of the ones in Georgia were meant to be highways, which was probably more worrying that the off-roading bits were quite so off-road. But we had heard that the roads were quite
bad in Georgia.
Quite bad, and that was sort of an understatement.
But we went from Baku, didn't we?
Not
Baku, sorry.
No.
What's the place called? What's the place? I can't now think. But we drove from Georgia to the Armenian border, down. This, I mean, it was beautiful, wasn't it? The most beautiful off-roading. But it was like 6 hours of off-roading in low range with the diff lock on, through these mountainsides on the on this lovely road that was sort of clinging to the edge of the hillside. It was absolutely beautiful. But it was meant to be, we thought, like a really quick, we'll just nip across to Armenia. No.
Yeah, that's not what happened.
Hours later. It was beautiful.
And we've had some other lots. I mean, anytime there was an opportunity to drive off road rather than taking the highway, we'd often take it. And I would say, looking back, we probably at the beginning we were very chicken. I think we've learned that we quickly learned that the Land Rover will quit, or we will quit a long time before the Land Rover will. And I think at the beginning of the trip we were being very cautious about what we did. And I think as we've gone further on, the sort of the off-roading has definitely got more extreme. Is probably a bit too far, but we've been a lot braver with what we've done. We had a friend come to visit us in Georgia, probably at the peak of us being a bit crazy and a bit braver. And I think
he was
just seeing his reaction to what we were driving.
Yeah,
he's going, I'm just going to step out the vehicle now.
I'll get out and film you, because I don't want to be in the car on this bit.
Oh yeah. Arla's done that, haven't you, Arla? You're like, yeah, I'll get out and just take some video of this. This is a little bit too much.
Yeah, if I'm not in control, I'm not real excited about that part. So if I'm passenger, I'm like,
that's me. That's me. I drive nearly all the time, don't I, on the off road? Because I'm not a very good passenger. No.
I'm not a good passenger either. I get a little panicky about it.
Yeah.
If I'm in control, I'm a little bit better. So, but to sit on the side, no.
I know a lot of people, a lot of women that I've talked to are drivers because they get car sick when they're in the passenger side or if they're in the back seat or whatever.
Me too.
Like, I have to drive, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that for sure. And you're okay though? You don't get car sick, Lawrence?
No, I have had iron stomach when it comes to being in cars. So I'm looking at the maps and working out what's going on. And
I just drive.
Yeah. Rachel's a better driver than me anyway. So
that's awesome.
I love it.
So other than the bridge being completely gone, have you had any other really, really crazy or hairy experiences where you were thinking, this is not good?
And we've had a couple of, we've driven, we had to get through places and the road was falling away. And I think we sort of looked at each other and went, do we do this?
Yeah, I think we've on roads where half of the road has already fallen off the cliff edge and the options are reversing down the off-roading track or just keep going.
And it's when you see somebody else then do it and you think, oh, okay, that's fine. But we are driving something that weighs 3.5, 4 tons and, you know, you do it and afterwards it's a great story. But at the time, you're not totally sure about the whole experience. But and we've had some very dodgy driving experiences. Was that in Georgia as well? Where
yeah, that was in Georgia.
We were driving down again, Georgia. Byword for bad driving and funny experiences. But we were going behind a truck that was full of hot tar, and all of a sudden, back just went up
and it started
vertical in the air. Just started depositing hot tar in front of us. It then ran into the the cables across the road and just drove through those. I think eventually the driver noticed and they stopped. So, you know, there've been experiences like that.
Wow.
Which were all good fun, you know. I think at the time there was swearing and sort of like anxiety, but, you know, afterwards when you realise it's all good, you know, it's a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, I got a YouTube idea for you. Just set up the camera when you're driving on these crazy roads. No editing. Leave all the swear words in. I'm telling you, people will love it. It'll go viral.
Subscribe.
Yeah, for sure. So is this were you guys in Georgia here or let me pull it up?
That is Bosnia as well, actually, isn't it?
Bosnia.
Okay, Bosnia.
Yeah, in the Republic of Serbia, the portion of Bosnia. Yeah.
So does the Land Rover have a wider wheelbase than a standard one because it's an ambulance, or is it just the standard frame?
No, it's just a standard 110 chassis and Land Rover underneath, but just with a different back.
Yeah.
But it's just a standard 110 with the original Puma engine. It's all pretty much as standard, apart from better anti-roll bar and better suspension, isn't it? That's the only things we've changed from standard.
And just to exemplify how vehicle Land Rover-y we were before we left, we're at a border where we had to write down. They wanted to know for the insurance what the what the distance between the two axles was, and we were looking up online, going, "How long's our vehicle? How long's our vehicle?" And of course, it's a 110. It's 110 inches. That's what that means. We were completely oblivious. We were like looking online, messaging people. Hi, we can't find the answer.
We didn't realise that.
We've come a long way, shall we say, from being completely unmechanical and
yeah. When you're living in it pretty much full time, you kind of have to become your own mechanic and learn those things as you go.
Yeah. No, we've definitely got better.
Absolutely. Well, that's part of the experience, though, right? It's part of the journey.
Yeah.
Learning all of those things and taking those little pieces of knowledge with you along the way for the next time something happens.
No, I think we service the car ourselves now.
Yeah.
Most of the services we do ourselves, and we're definitely better at problem solving when it breaks down.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Speaking of Georgia, the bugs are very lively here today.
Oh no!
See you. I don't know if you can see them flying around me.
I can actually. Yes. Oh
no! Don't recommend this, Georgia, in the United States. Not during this time of year. No.
Do not recommend.
Do not recommend. 0 out of 10.
There's no bugs in the office. I'm good.
Yeah, you're good. See, I like to live on the wild side. I'm doing this outdoors, and we're traveling back up to Arkansas over the next few days. My youngest daughter and I, and so we're kind of stopping where it's quiet and peaceful, and there's not all the craziness of the city around us. I've had several people pull up here though and kind of look at me like trying to figure out what we're doing here.
Oh,
so
really?
It's funny. They're like, "Why is this
If
lady
someone
on
walks
a headset?"
behind you, then we won't. Nice.
Yeah. So what's the plan? You guys mentioned before we went live that you might be going to Australia. That's a possibility anyway, right?
Yeah, we've had life steps in, doesn't it? You're planning on traveling a lot, and our careers were on the back burner for a while, and then some opportunities have come up which
to take some work
in Australia and for us to do some specialist training for both of us.
So we're considering whether to either continue with our plan, which was to head to Canada, or I suspect possibly more likely save up the money that we were going to save anyway, and then head to Australia and do a bit of work, travel there, and then
see where
after that try and go down the Pan American Highway sort of at a later date. I don't think it's not gone as a plan completely, but potentially a little bit. Well, after Australia, I think is the plan.
Very cool. So do you have any specific place in mind you plan on visiting when you're in Australia, or are you going to kind of have to stay around where you're going to be working, and kind of do a weekend exploring, or?
Yeah, we'd for work we'd probably have to be in the Gold Coast, Brisbane area, which is on the east coast of Australia. But if we were to, when we had planned it originally, we were going to do a full loop of Australia, which I guess we would do at some point whilst we were there. But at least initially we would use Australia as a base. Of course, we've got to work out the logistics of getting a Land Rover there that looks like an ambulance. That's often the difficult bit is will someone allow it?
Yeah, I've heard they're very strict in Australia about what kind of vehicles they allow in the country. I'm not sure what the requirements are, but a lot of people, from what I've heard, will buy a vehicle there, use it, and then sell it before they leave.
They're a lot more biosecurity safe.
So
I think that's going to be the challenge. We need to this week look at get in touch with some people about the logistics of getting our car, just with it being a bit weird as well.
So are you getting stir crazy?
I'm not good at sitting still. So no,
we need a plan. I think that's if you got a plan, you can work towards it. But if you're like going, what do we do? And that's it's a little bit more.
So no, we're looking forward to the next adventure, definitely, because it's nice. It's been nice to be back in the UK and see people, but this is not. We're not going to sit around for. We need to be moving.
Yeah, I drive Arla crazy because I'm always like planning things way out, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. We're going to be going back out west, the Western United States again this summer, exploring a little bit more than we did in previous years. So I've got it all planned out. I've got calendar invites I've sent people, and it's interesting because you plan out and then you change it along the way. It's but that's part of the journey. So, but at least I've got a plan in my mind that. If I don't stick to it, it's not the end of the world, but at least, there's some kind of semblance of organization.
I think that's me. I'm not good when there's no plan. I don't mind if the plan changes, but just if there's no plan, I'm right. No, I can't sit around doing nothing. So,
shoot from the hip. I cannot do that.
But
hey, what time is it there?
It's currently 25 minutes past 5
in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's Sunday, correct?
Yes,
it is Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, so you're just 6 hours ahead of me. Not too
bad.
Not
a huge difference.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, so I said, let me try to pick this in the middle of the day, just in case.
Hopefully that'll work. Yeah.
So, it's interesting. We interviewed Dot Becker, and she's in Africa, South Africa.
Oh, golly.
And it was like, I don't know, I was like 8:00 at night there for her, and it was early in the morning for me, and it was just very strange. But, we make it work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a quick break here and hear from one of our sponsors, More Expo, and we'll be right back.
Another drink, please.
Yeah, no, I don't have any drinks yet. That's the problem. It's
Oh,
too early in
jeez.
the morning. It's not 5 o'clock here. It's 5 o'clock there, though. You guys should be drinking. I'm just kidding. I don't know if you drink or not.
To be fair, we have a lot of tea, British tea at the moment. That's what we have.
A lot of tea.
Yeah. Very rock and roll. Yeah.
There you go.
What's
See?
in that tea, sir?
Not saying.
I'll never tell. Never tell my secrets.
So where's Penny? Is your pupper's name, right?
She
Shall I go and
is.
get her?
Oh, you can go
I'll go and get her.
She's.
Yeah.
Lawrence has gone to grab her.
We like to see the travel dogs too. We love dogs.
Gotta see part of the fam.
She's a very easy travel dog because she loves people and she loves traveling. So, no, she's a very easy dog.
That's
to
awesome.
travel with.
How
Very
old is
cool.
She's almost 10. She's an older lady now. Hey, Peg. Come here, darling. Come on. Come here, sweetie. Oh,
She lay down.
oh, she's just rolled over. That's about what we've achieved.
She's like, hey, I'm trying to rest.
Oh, darling.
Oh,
she?
goodness.
Mom and Dad. Oh, she's so pretty.
Look at that sweet baby.
Look at her
I think I've
ears.
just woken her up from sitting in the sun. So
Oh, now she's
Oh.
not happy.
Every time I go over to Arla's house, her dogs and cat are all sprawled out in the sun by the front door.
Yeah, no,
It's funny.
you were sunbathing, weren't you, Dylan? Oh, sweetie.
She's probably very warm and happy right now.
Mhm.
She does
Yeah.
look like she just got up, though.
Yes, yes. No, usually she's quite active, but she just looks half asleep.
She didn't have
no.
time to put on her makeup or nothing
No.
before this episode.
do you mean makeup? She doesn't need it.
No, absolutely not. She doesn't. Nor
Oh.
do I, apparently. So, what is your bucket list place still? I mean, you guys have been to so many countries, but is there one place that you're like, we have to go there no matter what? We have to find a way.
Well, one place that I wanted to go beforehand was the Faroe Islands, which
Mhm.
sits,
Which is an island owned by Denmark, isn't it?
yeah, which I'd seen photos of, and I was like, that just looks amazing. It just didn't fit with our itinerary around Europe.
I think it's on a future.
It's
route,
on a
isn't
future
it?
trip. Because we may not get there in the car, I'm trying to do some running at the moment, so I've signed up to do an ultra marathon there in September. So we might be able to take the car,
Maybe. Bizarre fascination with French Guiana in South America. So I would love to go there. I don't know how. Well, eventually, when we do the Pan American Highway, I am determined. I want to go and see the sloths and toucans, and I don't know. Yes, I have a grand dream to go to French Guiana, and they speak French.
and use the euro.
So yes, that's
There
on
we
my bucket list, definitely.
That's awesome.
But I
Those
think
are
like
two
our
really cool
European bucket
places.
list we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
So like our European bucket list, we were super lucky on this trip. We managed to hit the places that we were really excited to go to. So, but yeah, no, that's our bucket list for the world. Yeah.
Not Georgia, the United States and Georgia. Here.
We have. See, I've
Just
never
kidding.
been to the United States. I've never been to the
No?
United States. Lawrence has,
Oh.
and so I think we have this whole gigantic American like plan that is that you have, because I've never been.
Yeah.
But no, I'd love to. Canada and the US, I would love to visit with the van. We could actually travel properly.
I'm
Off
glad
you
to
go.
hear that you didn't say 0 out of 10 do not recommend. So
No, I've never been. No, I would really love to go, especially because it's so big and so varied. But no, I've never had the chance yet.
well, we would love to have you here, I'm sure. So
Thank you.
hopefully we'll see you guys someday here and in
Yes,
South
we
America.
do intend
and,
to, definitely.
yeah. So ultra marathon, huh?
Yeah.
Him, not me.
Yeah.
And
Not
mommy.
me either.
No,
Mm-mm.
no. But
So
this is
what
your
were
while
you
you're stationary.
thinking?
Sorry?
Have you done other ultra marathons before?
No, well, what I'm trying to work towards, again, we always like to set each other. Rachel said to me, "Is there anything you'd like to really want to do? Like once we've done this trip, is there something you always wanted to do?" And I've always wanted to walk to the South Pole. So Rachel said, "Okay, go and do it." I said to Rachel the same. She wants to buy a sailing boat and sail around the world, so that's a later project. as part of trying to get to the South Pole, there's a lot of fitness goals that have to be reached in the meantime. So my first marathon coming up in June, and I was looking for an ultra marathon to do after that, and so I thought, oh, Faroe Islands, I wanted to go there, so that seems like a good place to go and do it. So yeah, that's why. But no, I've not done one before.
Well, we're going to have you on after that and talk about that. That's pretty amazing.
No, doesn't appeal to me in the slightest.
I'm still thinking, what are you thinking? Why would you do something like that? But it makes sense. You're preparing for
you have a grand plan.
Have a grand plan. It's easy to say at the moment. It's less easier to execute, I guess. So,
we shall see.
We shall see.
Well, I mean, that's one of the good things about being stationary right now is you have the time, hopefully, to prepare and train.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of training. I've done regular marathons, and it's a lot of training.
Yeah. We were doing it on the road, weren't we? Like training and stuff. So, we were getting lots of running in while we were going away, whilst we were traveling around. So, it can fit with traveling. It's just a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. Finding a place to go and do some distance and
Yes.
When you don't know the place like that, at least here stable, you can plan it a bit easier. But
yeah, not impossible though. I like that.
Not impossible.
Favorite camp meal? What do you guys like making when you're on the road? What's your favorite meal?
I cook almost entirely curry. Almost entirely.
We'd like to just
nearly
dispute
entirely
that claim.
I nearly cook and curry.
No? I would say 80.
Nearly always.
80-20.
Okay. Curry,
I'll give
anyway.
that. But Rachel does very good curries. I would say that was the go-to meal.
In the 80% of the time that she cooks.
In the 80% of the time she cooks,
I like that. So she drives and she cooks.
I know. What does
wow.
that do? I know.
I'm superfluous, really.
No, you're not.
You're
not. You're not. No. You navigate, you plan, you do lots of the servicing.
Actually, you do most.
No, actually, I do most of the servicing. So
I don't know what I'm there for.
No, actually, I do serve more of the service. Actually, I don't know what he does now. I'm now thinking.
Do you do laundry?
No,
I don't.
He provides excellent company.
You do the laundry. I do the wringing out. There's a set role.
Okay.
Do you take care of all the music for the day when she's driving?
You are the DJ.
I am the DJ, but it seems like a really silly job, doesn't it?
No, it's an important job.
That's an important
you gotta have
job,
the right
especially
tunes.
Yeah,
right tunes when you're
that DJ extraordinaire.
Very, very important job. I promise.
Very.
So is navigating, actually, very important.
Actually, and you are very good at that, and I'm really comically bad at that. So, yeah, Lawrence is the navigator.
Very good.
Yeah.
Are you the dog walker too, or do you guys share that?
We share that. We tend to just go for lots of walks.
Yeah.
And she's very good. Like we'll go out for the day hiking, and she goes out for the day. And we've not yet, apart from one hike in what was that?
I don't know.
In Armenia, where we really overdid it. I mean, for us, we overdid it. She struggled, but
we struggled.
She normally copes absolutely fine. And if it's a day in the van, she's quite happy just to be in the van. Or if it's a day where we're in a town and she wants to sleep under a coffee table, she just sleeps under the table, and she's very easy. So no, she's the best travel companion I think we could have asked for. And
has opened lots of doors for us, actually, hasn't she? Yeah. Like in Turkey, Eastern Turkey and Georgia and Armenia, people don't seem to have dogs that they walk on a lead. And the number of people that would come up to us saying, "Oh, can we have a go at walking your dog?" Because they'd never seen a dog on a lead. And so we met so many people just with the dog, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which was brilliant. No,
that's interesting.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So their dogs just stay with them and they just walk around, or they don't really.
Are they
more work dogs, or?
I think culturally, because it's a predominantly Muslim culture, I think dogs are, I think in large parts, dogs aren't necessarily kept in the home. Well, that's a common belief that they don't get kept in the home. And so they will have them potentially as around, but not as the pets that we would sort of conventionally experience in more Western cultures. Obviously, if you go to the more populated sort of like areas like Antalya and Istanbul, then
It's
yeah,
different,
you
yeah.
have a lot more pets. But if you're out in sort of eastern Turkey, seeing a dog walking around on lead is a very bizarre thing. It would typically be a stray dog walking down the street. So people always want to come and say hello and experience how you've managed to tame this scary beast, and could they have a go with the dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm very No, could you imagine Sadie and Diamond being
No.
just free range and wild and not
Aren't
being?
they?
You guys, her cat can go potty on a toilet.
It's
Oh,
toilet.
wow. Golly. That's
That's
amazing.
very impressive.
No cat litter box in this house.
Mm-mm.
How on earth
Nope.
did you train a cat to do that? That's amazing.
That was the coolest thing I've ever seen. But
Mhm.
she will come and bug you if you're in there taking a shower. She'll start like scratching at the door just
She's
to
like,
harass
knock,
you.
knock, hello. I got
Yeah.
to go potty.
It's my moment now.
Yeah, she is hilarious.
But you
But
train
yeah.
them to one bathroom. So if your house is 2 bathrooms, you train them to one. They don't ever go in the other one. She just knows to go in that one. So
That is
if you're in
amazing.
there and she wants in there, she's letting you know that, she wants in
I'm
right now.
fascinated how you managed to train a cat to go
I
into
can't
the
even
It's
toilet.
called a litter
Yeah.
quitter.
That's amazing.
That's
Litter
almost
quitter.
a podcast in itself. You just
Mm-hmm. It takes about 6-8 weeks to train them, but we trained her as a kitten. And yeah, she's getting ready to be 9, I think.
That's
9 years old.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
Oh, yeah.
cool. She doesn't
Yeah.
flush though. She's kind of
Yeah,
a little bit
that's the
worried
only
about
thing.
that.
Can't teach her to
Yeah.
flush.
She doesn't flush.
Rude.
But
She doesn't have the opposable thumbs,
yeah, I mean, she can put her little paw up there.
Yeah. Maybe we should get an auto flusher. Never thought about that.
Oh, that would probably scare her though if it went off.
yeah.
It'd probably terrify her. She'd never go again.
That would be a problem.
Yeah, exactly. So where are you guys? I got one more photo to share here.
That's so cool.
Where is
Oh, that's,
this?
That's Cappadocia in Turkey. And it's I think, what is it? It's 150 hot air balloons go up in the air every sunrise. And it's the most amazing sight ever. So yeah, we spent, I don't know, a week in
2 weeks
Cappadocia.
in the end.
2 weeks in
Yeah.
Cappadocia. Because they've also got these beautiful sort of cave houses, just valleys with abandoned houses carved into the cliffs. And so we ended up camping out in some of the cave houses for a bit. But yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
Cappadocia,
cool.
and it's if anyone ever went to Turkey, it's unmissable.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful, really
Wow.
beautiful.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
people have, especially in America, have some apprehension about traveling to some of the countries like Turkey and, because of international things that have gone on.
I think because we were in eastern Turkey and we were in southern Armenia, which border Iran and border Syria. And I don't think we always go on the UK government website, which says which areas are politically not safe to go to, and always listen to that. But at no point on our trip have we felt in danger, have we felt frightened at all. I would say, if anything, the areas that people maybe would have had a bit of concern over, southern Turkey, Georgia, Armenia, for us on our trip, were probably the places we were the most welcome and were looked after the most. The number of people that we stayed in their houses, they invited us for lunch with them. They were buying us tea. I've never felt as amazing hospitality as in that bit of the world at all. And I don't think we ever felt in danger or unsafe or anything really. No, we loved it, really loved it, and would recommend those areas to anyone who was a bit apprehensive. Brilliant, really,
Absolutely.
really beautiful and culturally really interesting.
Yeah.
I really love hearing that because we have a friend, a couple, Hourless Life, and they're going all the way from United States all the way down to South America, all the way down to the tip, and then shipping their vehicle over to Africa. And that's one of the things that they say all the time. They say, all of these places that people warned us not to go, and how are you going to take a 6-year-old boy with you? And it's so dangerous. And they said those places have been the most hospitable, the most friendly people. I think that people just have a preconceived idea because they watch the news and they only hear one little isolated incident, and it becomes stuck in their mind that that's how that place is all the time, everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that
No, I don't think we yeah.
I'm sure people are terrified of the United States when they watch the news, because we always have stuff going
I
on.
think that's
Crazy,
I just think we've met amazing people and have been just so looked after in the places we've been to, and in places that people have, oh, are you really going to go there? That sounds a really strange place to go, a really dangerous place. We've just been so looked after.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I can imagine being over in Europe and watching the news about the United States, just the United States itself, and saying, "Ooh, they got a lot going on over there. I don't know if I want to go there."
I mean, if you just watch the news, you'd think, we're going to get involved in a mass shooting at some point. Genuinely, that's how often. Like if we're having news at the moment about
the US,
it's Donald Trump. And it's gun crime. I mean, that's generally the news stories you tend to get.
And yet, would we not go to Australia, America? No, of course not. We would go. But I agree with you. I think that you don't see an awful lot of certain places of the world unless it is negative about them and bad publicity. And actually, I think on the ground, the people are just wonderful. And I think what you see on the news isn't always the reality of the place. Definitely.
It really isn't. It's sensationalized, and they focus on that because people watch, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's what grabs your attention.
Of what we've created for that place, but it's no, it's not our experience of those places in real life at all.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we're going to start traveling internationally with our three children. But that's one of the reasons why we're going to do that, to show them just because you think a place is bad doesn't mean that it is. I mean, you have to experience it for yourself.
Yeah.
And we have it pretty good here in America. We have, even with rough times and stuff, we have it very, very good compared to a lot of other countries in the world. And we should be very grateful for that. So, just seeing how
your children, that would be brilliant.
Seeing how other people live and you see that, and then you see they're the most happy, kind, loving people.
That's what we've noticed when we were traveling, how lucky we are to be in a position that we could afford to quit our jobs for a year and have a home. Okay, it's a van, but a lovely home. And then you were meeting people who were, certainly if you looked at on paper, what are their possessions and what is their experience? And yet they were the most open, friendly, generous, happy people. And I think it does make you really appreciate what you do have, definitely.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that a bunch of stuff and a bunch of money is not where you find happiness.
No, I'd agree. I think that was definitely the people we met, definitely.
Absolutely.
And culturally, we found in a lot of places, it's not limited to one place, but particularly the more east that you go, once you leave sort of like Western Europe, there is a culture of providing hospitality, and it's almost seen as it's a failure of them if they don't provide good hospitality. It's part of for a lot of them, it's part of their faith, and they go out of their way regardless of their status in society or how wealthy they are. And it's typically the poorest people that you meet who are being often the most hospitable to travelers and guests, and making sure that, which is silly because you're trying to offer them money to make, to compensate them for you can see they're going out of their way to feed you and to house you, and you're wanting to do something back. But for them, they see it as an honor, and they're very pleased often to have people coming to visit them and to visit locally.
No, it was an experience.
It's an experience, and I think, like you say, if you go with kids, it's going to be an eye-opening for them. But it's an eye-opening. It was an eye-opener for us, I think, to be reminded, as just every now and then, it's quite very useful to how lovely people are, and to listen to the news and get a reminder of how good humanity is, without all the problems that you tend to hear about. So.
Sometimes even better without all of the stuff.
Very true.
So I'm just trying to think, if somebody, drove by your house in the United States, would you invite them into dinner? Would
Well,
you
We
know?
we were saying that the experiences we had on the road were not what if we broke down. For instance, we broke down in so many places in Eastern Europe, or ended up not having somewhere to stay. We'd sort of mistimed where we thought we were going to go to stay overnight,
Mhm.
and we were invited into people's homes that we'd never met. They
You know-
gave us a bed, they fed us, and we were saying if this happened at home in the UK, you'd be at the side of the road. There is no way that same experience would have been had in the UK at all.
No.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, I don't think in many places in the United States it would either. And maybe in
No.
some really rural areas, but
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
No. Maybe this is a good lesson for us all, you know. It's
We need
important to
up our-
realize
we need, we
be
need
thankful.
to up our hosting game, I
Yeah.
think.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So, as far as social media goes, are you guys on any social media at all? And where can people find you?
So we're on Instagram. Well, when we left, we were deciding, what do we do? And we thought, we'll do the YouTube thing. And then when you
We're not
start
very
traveling, we just realized how little time I think we had. And it wasn't our priority, really. We thought we have to take so much time out. So
Yeah.
we decided to blog our adventure, which we do through Instagram and Facebook. And initially, it was just for our family.
Mhm.
Because when you're trying to send photos to two sets of family plus siblings and friends and things,
It's a
we could
lot.
have collated it as one story and allow us also at a later date to sort of look back and have a laugh at what we did, because our memory's not that great.
So
if it's not written down, it doesn't count.
So just them.
Yeah.
And it's what I don't know what it's called.
It's the Overlanding Ambulance. If you look at and on Instagram, we're way behind. We're back in the UK, but it thinks we're still in Turkey, which
Yeah,
we're
we are.
not.
Yeah.
But we intend, even while we're back, we've had a bit of a hiatus at the moment because of just some life issues that have been going on here. Things take a priority rather than writing Instagram posts. But the plan is to keep putting out the content of the rest of the journey that has got us to this point. And obviously, once we get to that, then providing updates as to where we're going to be next. And whatever that journey is going to be, obviously keeping people abreast as to what we're doing. So the Overlanding Ambulance, though it looks quite static at the moment, will be coming back, but
We've not been the best.
We've not been the best. There we go. That's why we can't.
You guys are the best. We love talking to you. This has been fun.
Hey, life
That's
is
why we
busy.
can't-
It's hard.
Yeah.
That's
It's
why we
so
can't
busy.
fund our life through social media, because we're not very good at it. So.
No.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. We had a great time with you guys. We look forward to chatting with you again and following you on your next journey. That's going to be awesome.
Thank you. It's
Thank you
been
for having
lovely.
us.